Tweak what you think it needs to be, then send it back to me.
I told him, I said, we get it back to you. I said, we'll get it back to you by the end of the day today. Or first thing in the morning. I said, just I want to. It really needed this week. We're gonna get it today.
Yeah.
But we were trying to figure out. He asked for it. Like around 11 times.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, I hear you really good.
Good deal.
Hey, did you have a good break? I can't hear you
Yeah.
all now.
Did you have a good one?
Hey, can you flip it around so I can see the students? I see you. Oh, we had issues with 215 also.
Hey, are you having trouble hearing us? Or,
No, you sound way better now.
well, I turned on the microphone. I was just talking to him about the classroom and how it's set up.
Yeah, so, I mean, my problem is I'm seeing you and not the students.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey.
Did I do it?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of them.
Okay. It said it was student camera on my screen here, so I got to watch that. Thanks for telling me.
That was the first time. So to get started here, before we start the material, I just want to lay out how the semester is going to go. And I would really like to make sure people are in the right spot. So we're looking at this class is Math 1530. Right, and we go every Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:50. My name is Mike Marks. I will answer to anything. If I need you to talk to me, I'll answer whatever you call me. No makes a difference. The fact that you'll talk to me, I'm a happy camper. So I'm assuming everybody's in the right spot. The other thing is that I've got Brown Hall 132. That's you folks there with Rob. And your section number is 521. I have these folks here with me in Kingsport. And your section number is 531. And then we have folks that are streaming. And your section is 990. The reason I write that up is because when you turn something into me, not only do I like your name on it, but I like your section number on it too, so that way I can keep track of where everybody's at, right? I usually try to remember you all that stuff and everything like that. Look, I don't hand anything out. Anything that I want to give you here, I put in D2L, all right? So here's the thing. I just made a big deal that all of you are in different sections, right? But when you log into D2L, all of you are going to see Math 15, 35, 21. What they've done is they've combined all three of them for me. You're in there and you're in the right spot in there, but that's what you're going to see. They do that for me, so instead of me doing everything 3 times, I do it once. Okay? And so the syllabus is, so I picked that. And the syllabus is under content. I'd like to go through the syllabus for you because there's a whole bunch of different grades here, grades there, things we're going to do. And there's no need to print this out. It's always there. It's not going to change. All right? So just leave it there. If you want to look at it, you go back for it. So, obviously, this is 1530 probability statistics. My name, my email address. You email me, I email you back. Anybody that's emailed me already knows I'm not like a 2-day waiting email. I'm actually rather quick. Usually within 2 hours or something, depending on what's going on, right? So anytime you have any questions, email me. I'll email you back. I'll try to answer whatever question it is. Okay? My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays right before class, 4:30 to 5:15. My office is in Kingsport. I'm on the other end of the building, room 315 upstairs, right? You can come to my office. You folks in Johnson City, yes, you're not coming to my office, but if you need to see me, you want to talk to me, you want to sit down and talk about the material, if you'll send me an email, I will come to Johnson City and meet you. Obviously, it's got to be on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, but you let me know. We'll set up a time. I'll come see you. We'll go find a spot in the library, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. But you have to act. You folks that are streaming, right? You're out there. Yeah, you're not going to come to my office. You're not going to come to Johnson City. But what we can do there, and actually this goes for everybody, that I'm going to make this offer to also, is that if a lot of times when you send me questions through email or, if you ask me questions during class, hell, I'm going to answer them if I can. If not, I'll get back to you the next class. But if some people don't like to talk in this format, there's people everywhere. They just don't know. Right? You only see part of them. It's okay. Send me an email with your question and I'll answer it for you. Sometimes I'll answer it right in the email. Sometimes I will type you up a solution and attach it. And then if that doesn't work for you, what we can do is like if you'll send me an email and you say, okay, I want to meet with you, and I want to meet with you right now, I will send you a link and you can log into something called WebEx. It's exactly the way the streaming students are seeing me now, right? And we can be anywhere you've got internet connection and a laptop, I can meet you from that, right? But then you're going, so how are you going to help me with math problems at the house? Well, what you'll notice here out of me is when I write, I always write on this thing here, right? So that's what you see. I have a small version of this at the house, so I can write anything you want at the house. So what I've just done is I've made myself available to you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I don't think anything else needs to be said about that because you got to ask and I will help you. I'm more than willing. All right? Like I said, my office, my phone, look, if you just want to talk about something, you can call me during my office hours. I don't call back. I got a weird thing about calling students back, but if you call and I answer, I'll talk to you better. Okay? The prerequisite, obviously you must meet it. You're already registered for the class. The textbook, anybody? It's the Basic Practice Statistics, 8th edition, Moore, Knox, and Klinger. Is that the right one? Yeah. Okay. I've given you the ISBN number and all this stuff. Now, look, when you buy the book, there's like a access code that comes with it. Did you get that? Mm-hmm. Right? So you get this access code, and it's to like, I'm going to call it a resource for us. It's an online resource that's through the publisher that's attached to this book. All right? You're going to need that access code. Now, here's the thing. If you buy just the access code, which you can do, right, you get an ebook, right, the electronic book that shows up on your computer, and you wouldn't need that. I'm assuming our bookstore gives you a deal on the hard copy and the access code. I would hope they do. I don't know, right? But you're going to need the access code along with the book. Look, you need the book for, do I have to tell you why you need the book? All right, so you need the access code for the following. Part of your grade is going to come from work that you're going to do in this, what's called sapling learning, this online resource, right? And then there's some things something I need you to pull out of there and things like that, all right? The topics we cover, we covered chapters 1 through 25 with a few missing there. Actually, we end up covering 19 chapters this semester. Now, I'm looking at it going, and you're going, okay, so, yeah, but we only meet 28 times. So we'll cover 19 chapters in 28 times, so we don't play around. We play around a little bit tonight, so you get a feel for me, and I can get a look at you. But most nights, I'm pretty much a lot of business. All right? The technology, we need something here. We need a calculator. I don't need no fancy calculator. I need like a $20, I don't know if they make a $20 calculator anymore. I need something that will add, subtract, multiply, divide. You can square a number and you can take a square root. So I'm talking about basic calculator, right? Probably $20, $25 from all. Okay? I don't ever bring a calculator to class, but I'm hoping starting Thursday you'll all bring a calculator. So in case I need something calculated, one of you two will do it for me since you're sitting right in front of me, right? So I'm expecting a calculator. Always bring it, just stick it with your book wherever it is, all right? Then the other thing we're going to use is there's a statistical software program. No purchasing. It's called Minitab. What it's going to do is it's going to help us make graphs. It's going to do some calculations for us, all right? And it's available through Gold Lab, which is the university server, or on any university computer. You know, wherever our computer lab heater is, actually, it's on any university computer, right? Normally it's under all programs. Statistical software, math software, there's something called Minitab, and I'm hoping it's like Minitab 18 there these days. I think that's the model we're on. Okay. Now, but here's the thing. It's 5:30 at night. Some of you folks just came from work. So, dear God, you don't want to be going to some computer lab to be able to do this Minitab statistical software program, correct? So, it's also available to you on your laptop at home or anywhere you have an internet connection, all right? Through this Gold Lab, I can get you to hook up into it that way, and then so you can just do it wherever you're at, all right? I'll come back to that. I got some links for you to show you how to do all this. Question, anybody got a Mac? Johnson City, we got any Mac users? Johnson City, are you guys alive? You're not moving? You're not breathing? Is the video frozen? No, he's moving. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to give it to you for PC users. Or, there's instructions for PC users. There's instructions for Mac users. Right? Either way will work. Like I said, we'll get back to that. I have some links for you there. The goals and objectives, I always put this on there because the math department makes me, is to develop a basic understanding of probability statistics and how they relate to the world around us. That's not your guys' goals and objectives. Your guys' goals and objectives is to pass the class because it's part of the core requirement, and you're not going to graduate ETSU without it. Right? So I always keep that in mind too. That's the reason you want to take this class. The grading is based on 4 things here. There's something called learning curve assignments. That's through that online resource, Sapling Learning. And then homework problems, where I pick homework problems out of the book for you to turn in to me, right? There's something called a capstone project. That happens the last 5 weeks of the semester, where we use that Minitab software to answer questions. And then exams, tests. All right? So here's my thought. The learning curve assignments look like this, and then when I get into Sapling Learning, I'll show you where they're at and how they work and how you do them. There's 19 of them, 1 for each chapter, administered through that Sapling Learning, right, through that online resource. They're listed under learning curve assignments. You'll earn 2.5 points. Look, our whole class is based off a point scale. It's based off a 1,000-point scale, right? So for each one of these you complete, that you reach the target score, I don't get to set the target score. They set the target score, so some of them's higher than others. But so you answer questions and your points keep going up, right, until you hit it, and then you're done. You're going to get 2.5 for each one if you reach the target score. When you're in Sapling, what you'll see is you won't see 2.5, you'll see 5 out of 5. I had to set it to something, and it wouldn't set it to 2.5, so I had to set something to know that when you were done and you completed that one. And you'll earn 2.5 for completing all of them. Well, if you figure there's 19 times 2.5 plus 2.5, that's 50 points, right? So there's 50 points out of that Sapling Learning where you get to do this anywhere you want, and it's just answering questions about the material you talk about in the meeting, right? They all have to be completed by Sunday, April 28th, 2019, 11:59. The reason for that date? That's the last Sunday before finals start. I think finals start on the 29th. I see you that last Thursday, and you get those extra days. Look, they're nice problems to practice. They're real quick. They're like short answer kind of things, multiple choice, just to see if you're following them. All right? It's just like a little added bonus. The homework assignments. All right? They'll be assigned in the class prior to the class that is due. Here's what would have happened. If I wanted homework due on Thursday, when I came to class, I'd have wrote homework number 1. Due Thursday, January 17th. Here's the problem. You'll do them. Great. Now, here's the thing. You folks that are in Johnson City, you'll do them and bring them to class and give them to Rob. You folks that are here in Kingsport with me, you'll do them and bring them to me, right? You folks that are streaming, what you're going to do is, you're going to have to do them, you got a couple options. You can do them by hand and then scan them in and send me a picture of them or send me the scan of them, right? You can do them in the Word document, all right? The other thing is, if you want to do them by hand, you can take a picture of them and email me those pictures. And when you take the picture, you got it here, you want to take a picture on top of it. You don't want to take a picture like this. You want to take a picture on top, and then please, and I'm looking at all you guys because I'm going to give you this option too. Let's say you miss class, but you want to turn it home. You can either scan it and send it to me as an email attachment, or you can take a picture of it and send it to me. All right? Either way. before you start sending me any pictures or anything like that, would you please look at the pictures and see if you can read it? If you can't read it, I can't read it. Right? Take another picture. Okay? There's going to be, I mean, on the syllabus here I have like between 5 and 10 homework assignments through the semester. It usually comes down to 7 or 8. Right? There's 7 or 8 of them, and sometimes there's like, okay, there's like 7 problems, sometimes there's 10 problems. You know, I'll give you plenty of time to do it. Normally what I do is the homeworks are from Thursday announced to Tuesday when they're due. So you get the weekend. Kind of be as best I can do with that all the time, I will do that. Sometimes it'll have to be a Tuesday and a Thursday depending on how things fall. Okay? So if I assign homework today, and you're going to bring it to me on Thursday, right? And if you're going to miss class, you can still give it to me, right? You're going to send it to me as an attachment to an email, either scanned, Word document, or a picture. You have until I give it back to you to get the homework assignment to me. So look, if I picked it up on Thursday, sure as shit, I'm going to get it back to you on Tuesday, so you'll have Tuesday till the end of class to get it to me. The reason for that is because I always hand everything back at the end of class, and I will post the solutions to that homework that same night at that time, right? Usually they'll probably be 7 o'clock, right? And I'll post the solutions. After that, I won't take any homework assignments. So it's not due when I tell you it's due. That's when I want it, but you have until I give it back to get it to you. All right? That just gives you a little bit of extra time in case something's going on. I don't give any makeup assignments for any of that kind of stuff because you've got a little extra time, and you can get it to me however you want to get it. Okay? The capstone assignment is going to show up at the end of the semester. It's going to be like the last 5 weeks. Okay? Look, it's a Minitab project. There's usually 6 or 7 questions with like A, B's, and C's and stuff like that. It won't be anything out of control because we've already talked about everything as we go. Associated with that is going to be a class survey, and I'm going to assume that the class survey is going to be sent to me. I don't make that. They're going to ask you like 13, 14 questions to collect some information on you folks, and that's what they use for the class survey. Right? We use that information, that data for the class survey. When that class survey shows up to me, I'll come in the first class, I'll show you where it is, tell you go answer it, give you a few extra points for doing it, right? I don't have the due date for the capstone project yet. It's usually the last Friday. So if Sunday's the 28th, it'll probably be due on the 26th. Everybody okay so far? So what do I got? I got these learning curve assignments, I got homeworks, I got this capstone assignment, and then there's exams. There's 2 exams from me. The first exam is usually over chapters 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. All right? And then the second exam will take chapters 8 through about 13. And then the rest of the material for the semester will be through homeworks. I don't test you over the last chunk of the material. All right? The exams are always multiple choice. They always have 40 questions. And they always have A, B, C, and D. I don't do all of the above. I don't do none of the above. The answers are actually sitting there looking at you. You just got to be able to do the work to get the answer. Right? There's a final. It's a comprehensive final, and it comes from the department. It will be given for us on Thursday, May 2nd, from 6 to 9 p.m. It's going to have 40 questions. It's going to be multiple choice. When we get there, I have some old finals to show you, so it'll be okay. All right? Everybody's going to have an ETSU ID because we're going to be all over the place. You folks that are streaming, Section 990, I have the information for you about how you're going to get me the homework, capstone assignment, how you're going to do exams. It's under Content Syllabus, Section 990. So far, so good? So, your grades determined as follows. Like I said, we're on a 1,000-point scale. All right? So the learning curve assessment, we already knew was 50. The homeworks end up being out of 250. So here's how this works. Let's say I have 7 of them through the semester. Now, obviously, each one of them is not worth the same amount. Sometimes this one will have like 14 things I check. This one will have 22 things. This one might have 18. So what I do at the end of the semester is I add all the bottoms together, you know how many I was looking for, and then how many you got, and I divide. And multiply by 250, so you'll get some number of points out of 250 for the homework. You'll see it on the first homework. You know, you'll say, I'll write on the top of, you got 14 out of 15. So there's 15 things I was looking for, and you got 14 of them. Right? That's the deal. The exams, 200 points apiece, 40 questions, each question's worth 5. The capstone assignment, 100 points. Now, don't freak out about this capstone assignment. Sometimes students do. When we get it, what I mean is when it's sent to me, I'll post it, you'll get it, and me and you are going to stand here for maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of class, every night from like 5 weeks in, and we're going to talk about every problem. So that I can point you in the right direction. This is what I would do. This is what you need to think about. So you won't be left with, I won't leave you on that. All right? The final, again, 40 questions, 5 points, 200. And then I use this grade. Right, for the letters and the plus or minus signs. The catch is this. For extremely low scores on the final, less than 80 points or less than 40% out of the 40 questions, I'm going to give you an F no matter what your grade was going in. There's no way in hell that you can be making a B going into the final and get less than 80 points. That means you're getting less than 16 right out of 40. And you had a B going in, I did something wrong. There's no way. This is just a catch in case you think you're going to pass the class by passing the final where you didn't do anything else. Okay? The other thing is, the department has a attendance policy. I can make it real simple. If you miss this class more than 5 times, I can give you an F. I always want to remind students, do you remember this up here? I'm covering 19 chapters in 28 days. You miss this class 5 times, more than 5 times, and I'm pretty sure you're going to make an F yourself. All right? Now, the catch is this. There's this bonus for good attendance after this week. All right? So after this week, if you don't miss any classes, I will add 50 points to your grade. And that's enough to change the letter or sign. Right? Every time you miss a class, I deduct 10 from that. So at the end of the semester, I see you've missed class 1 time, I add 40. 2 is 30, and so on and so forth. Now, with that said, this is an ITV class in case you haven't noticed. Everything I say and do is recorded. Everything I write on there is recorded. Right? The instructions and link for watching the videos are in DQL. And in there's a box titled Video Archive Spring 2019. Okay? So this all goes together with the 3 things right here at the top. The attendance requirement, bonus, and the ITV class. Right? So here's the deal I make with you. Let's say you miss class. I don't care the reason. Okay? If you'll go and watch the recording for that class and send me an email that says, I watched the class for January 15th, 1/15, or 1/17, whatever date it is. I got to know the date, right? I will count your attendance for that missed class that way. So in other words, there's no reason for you to ever miss a class. If you miss a class, it's reported. Go watch it. Send me an email, and I'll take care of your attendance for that day. Any other time, Rob has a signing sheet for you folks in Brown Hall. There's a signing sheet back there on the second table in. Make sure you always sign that because that's how I keep track of the attendance. You folks that are streaming, the way your attendance is taken care of is when you logged in, you had to give them a name. You want to give them your full name because that's how we keep track of the attendance for it. All right? And again, that whole thing about going back and watching the recording and getting attendance counted for you, that goes for everybody. I don't care where you're at. The Video Archive Spring 2019 box is in everybody's D2L. Right? So there should be no reason why at the end of the semester I don't give everybody 50 points for the bonus. Okay? The tutoring, if you're on the Johnson City campus, there's a CFAA in the library. They're there Monday through Sunday at different times. Here we have tutors. They'll be on room 220, which is down at the other end of the hall through the big doors there. Right? As soon as I get hours for that, I will come in and post them here. Now I got a question. First question this semester. Who's your best source for help? Thank you. Didn't at the beginning, didn't I just tell you that I give you myself for like 24/7? Ask. You don't know what the hell's going on, ask, we'll sit down and talk about it. We'll figure something out. All right? I gave you an IT ITS help number in case something crazy goes with D2L, I can't fix it, right? And then you got to have some practice problems, some suggested exercises, and so they're posted in D2L under content syllabus, and obviously it's a math class, we gave you quite a few. They're for your practice. Those aren't to turn in, right? Remember, I'll come in and tell you the ones I want you to turn in for homework. Those are for you to practice. Anybody got any questions? Johnson City? Oh, they're nodding. I appreciate the nod. No, it's kind of weird to talk. You know, I've taught like this since 2019, right? I think I started teaching like this in 1999. I ain't never watched a recording myself. I figure I was scared. Okay, so just to show you a couple things, there is the section information, the section 990 course information, where, you know, logging in, watching, how you're going to turn in the homework, exams, and everything like that. Okay, that's for the streaming sections. Here is your suggested exercises. I want to point these out to you for a second, the way they're written here. So you notice in Chapter 1, the suggestions are for problems 1, 3, 5, 18, 8, 12, and so on. When you're looking in your textbook, and you're looking for problem number 1 in Chapter 1, in your textbook it's actually 1.1. Problem number 3 is actually 1.3. The one's telling you you're in Chapter 1, and the 3 is telling you you're doing problem 3, right? Not all of these are in the back of the chapter. Some of these are scattered through the middle of the chapter, right? So in other words, there might be a little section, and then there's homework problems. Another little section, practice problems, and then there's a whole bunch of them at the end. But not all of these are at the end. Okay. This sapling learning, and that's where the ebook is if you want to go that route. I think I tested this in all this work, registering for sapling learning, if you have the code and everything. So I've written out what you needed to do, because the way this is set up, since we've got 3 different sections, when you enroll, you have to pick the right section, right? So that it says there's a key code. Mm-hmm. So, did you already do it? Mm-hmm. Did everything work good?
Yeah. Well, what I had done last semester, I had started this because I got sick and I had to withdraw for the semester.
So, but you could go back into that.
But I could, because it's good for a year, so yeah. I didn't have to. Yeah.
So the first time you go here, this is what you're going to see. And the first thing you guys are going to do is, I clicked on create account, right? Because you don't have one. It's going to want to know a password, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to do all that. And then I'm going to back up here, because after you have your account created, you're going to log in. Mm-hmm. So you'll log in, and then I'm not worried about, you won't see any past courses. That's my past course that I taught this class last semester. So where you're going to go is you're going to go into this, enroll in a new course. This is only the first time you'll do this, right? And then you'll look at courses at ETSU, Introduction to Statistics, Semester 1. And so now, the way the instructions read is now you've got it fully expanded, right? And you can see that you can buy access here for $90.99. I think I'm the second one from the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? And so, if you want just the ebook, you can pay with a credit card here. You can buy just that access code, right? I'm thinking there's probably still like a 21-day free trial here, maybe. In case we're waiting on our financial aid or whatever. Okay? And then you'll enroll in that. And at some point, it asks you for the access code you bought, right? And it's at this point.
It is when you get in there if you've already paid it. If you've already paid for it, at the back of the book, you'll have a card. Yep. And you just follow that. But then in your syllabus, or no, you put a part in the syllabus or something, then it gives you the mark in the 0,
the
9,
key code. Yeah, exactly.
E-code.
Yeah.
And then it goes right into it.
It goes right in. So at this point here, when you go and you click on it to enroll, it's going to ask you for your access code, or you're going to purchase an access code.
Yeah.
The reason I'm not clicking on it to show you that, because if I click on this, I'm already in there and it just opens mine up.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll click on me, and then all three of my sections go into this one. There's only one there for me. It's going to ask you for how do you want to pay. You got an access code. Do you want, I'm hoping there's like a free trial or something. Do you want to pay with a credit card? And then it'll ask you for the key code. And the key codes are lowercase marks 521, lowercase marks 531, lowercase marks 990, depending on what section you're in where we started here tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And then you should be able to go right in. And then every time after that, oh God, I'm hoping every time after that, you don't have to worry about enrolling in anything. You'll see your current courses, right? My courses, current courses, and then you'll just come click on your course, and it should open up. Right? So here's the thing. I already told you when you buy that access code, you get an ebook. I don't know how you are with ebooks. I'm not good. For some reason, I got to have like a paper copy so I can feel like I can see all the pages anytime I want to see them. Even though I can see them paper I want to. It's just I'm like psycho guy. I'm old school, right? This is the way I learn. But if you're comfortable with just the ebook, you're fine there. If you want the textbook and the ebook and the access, there you go. So a couple things here. One is, if you'll notice, I'm going down here. I don't really care too much about this introduction and review. But you see this? These are these learning curve assignments. Right? Learning curve. Under each chapter, there's one for chapter 1, there's one for chapter 2. Right? That's what we talked about. And so if I click on one of these, notice, there's my due date. If I click on one, and I kind of want to see it as you so I can show you what you're going to see. Right, so you're going to come here and I want to begin the activity. So then it starts asking me questions. A variable that places an individual into one of several groups is called a, I'm going to make a guess. Right, and so then it wants me to submit my answer. So I submit my answer, and you notice it tells me it's correct. It gave me 15. You see at the top the target score is 450. Some questions are worth more than the other. Once you get to the target score of 450, you'll see 5 out of 5 in the grade book, and I'll give you the 2.5 points during this semester. Okay, so we can go to the next question. We can take a break and have a beer, smoke a cigarette, whatever you want to do. Now, when you take a break and you come back to this, you'll go right back to this spot, the question you read. All right? Everybody okay with that? That's the way this works.
So it saves your progress?
Oh, it saves your progress. As long as you notice it says resume activity, I'm right back to where I was, and then I can go to the next question. Right? So yeah, it keeps up with that. So here's the thing. I know we're probably asking for a bunch because I got this, there's homework to do here, you got other classes, some of you are working. It would be nice if you would stay with me with this because they're asking the kind of questions about the stuff that we're talking about. So it's like kind of a review for the material me and you were talking about, right? It would be nice if you stayed with me and didn't wait and do like all of them in April, you know, kind of stay with us as we're going. I know it's a lot to do. Do the best you can, okay? I was trying to think about what else I want, and I'm going to stay right there for a second, and I'm going to come back here and look at this. There was what I just showed you, what I clicked through there to register, that was exactly what this is. It's just written out for you. They sent that to me to give to you. Okay? So I'm going to go back here to the table of content. And as far as I'm concerned, that takes care of the syllabus, the 990 section information, registering for sapling, suggested exercises. The rest of the stuff you're not going to see yet. The old finals, you won't see those yet. Couple things, and then we'll come back here. The class survey will show up there. When I get it, I'll give you the link. I'll tell you where it's at. I'll show it to you again. The capstone project. What I would appreciate for you to do for me, just to test your little technology experience out, is here in D2L, and that's under content, formulas, and tables. You see this formulas here? I would appreciate it between now and, let's say, Thursday, next Tuesday. There's 6 pages here. I would like for you to print those 6 pages out and stick them with your book. We don't remember the formulas and things like that here. They're written down for us. And there's a couple tables we're going to need throughout the semester. We probably don't need all 6 pages, but I just say print all 6. Stick them with your book, with your calculator. You can have those formulas from tests, everything, all right? So print those out. Where I told you I would post the homework solutions will be right there. You know, I always post them the night I give them back. You know, I got 9 here, but I think last semester I only did 7 or something like that. It depends on how we're going and how things look. And then the other thing I do for you is, not only is the entire class recorded, where you see me talking, my hands waving, me moving all over the place, but you see everything I write here. And so what I do is when I'm done here at night with this class, I save this. Everything I write down there, I save for you. And I save it by the date. So tonight I would put JAN 15. And I save it as I export it as a PDF, and then I post it here. So I don't know if that's overkill or what, but at least there's my notes, right? So you got the recording, you see what I wrote, you got my notes there. I do everything I can do to give you as much information as I can. All right? So, question. Everybody clear about sapling learning? I know we don't want to give up the money. You know, because I got my book from somebody who used $25. It's worth 50 points, right? Because that's where those learning curves are. And then there's some files that we need to download from there. All right? Here's the deal. I'm going to give you this as far as this might be something else you want to practice between, let's say, now and next Tuesday. I know it's the first week of school and you got a lot of shit going on. Okay? Is getting Minitab up and running. All right? I know most of you won't do it until I give you a homework set where you've got to use it. That's okay too. All right? So I've given you a link. I didn't give you any instructions. I just gave you a link because the university wrote instructions. So if you'll click this, okay, and it takes me to this page here. And what I'm interested in for you for the first go-around to get everything set up on your home computer, on your laptop, is GoldLab Help. Everybody follow that, right? That's where I would go. And then it opens me up this page. Now, does everybody see that one there? It says access through remote desktop web access. If you are a PC user and you're using this from home, this is the way I would go at it. When you see me doing it in class, this is the way I go at it. All right? If you are a Mac user, I would use Access GoldLab via Mac. With the Mac, there's a few. Oh, I do have a Mac. Yeah. So there's a few extra steps there, but we can still make it fly because at home I actually have a Mac and that's what I use, so we can make it work. All right? And it's not really making it work. It's just a little different than the other way. All right? So if you're a PC user, you're going to do the one on the left, access through remote desktop web access. Actually, they made it really easy for the PC users. For the Mac users, you're going to look and you're going to follow the directions and access GoldLab via the Mac. You have to download something out of the App Store and so on and so forth. And if I have any other Mac users, now remember, this is just for Mac people. My warning is here's the GoldLab Mac instructions. And the first line says, download the Microsoft Remote Desktop 8 application from the App Store. Everybody see where it says that? Swipe that 8 out and you need 10. Well, the link will actually take you to 10. Somebody just forgot to change the 8 to 10, right? This link here actually takes you, see it says Remote Desktop 10, right? So just do the 10 out of the App Store and follow their instructions and everything should work good. Okay? That's our first go at it. Now look, if you can't make it work, this is where me and you are going to email back and forth to get everything working. Some of you will actually bring your laptops in and we'll go to the office and we'll all know every semester. It doesn't matter. It's actually like, I find it kind of fun. Sorry. You know, can I get it to work on that one or can I make it work on that one? Right? You know, I find it fun. Okay? Then, with that being said, that's to get Minitab up and going. And then I have some Minitab instructions because we need Minitab files, right? The Minitab files look like little spreadsheet files, the data, so we don't have to type all the shit in. Okay? And so I've given you how to download Minitab files from this Sapling Learning because that's where any problem in our textbook that needs a data file, a Minitab file, they're here. Okay? So notice, this is like a PDF file. And, you know, to your home computer, to your Z drive, remember that's your guys' drive at the university, Z, right? It shows, I tell you exactly how to download it, all right? And then, I never leave you hanging. Anytime I want you to be able to do anything in Minitab, I've shown you in class. Remember, we're recorded there, right? But it turns out, there's also Minitab videos for sapling learning. Anything that I would ever show you to do, they show you in a video how to do it. They're under statistical resources. Click on it, find what you want to do, right? So not only are you going to see me do it, you can go back and see them do it. Now, here's my thought. The Minitab instructions, I just wrote out every step-by-step thing I could think of for me. When I show you how to do something, I'm going to come back here. And, you know, I'm about what? Just a little bit down the page. And you see it says Minitab datasets for BPS 8th edition. That's what you're going to download. Right? You're going to download it. And if you're downloading it to a PC, it downloads as a zip file. So then you have to extract all the files out of it. I always put them on my desktop. Right? Whether I'm a Mac or a PC user, when I download these, I put them on my desktop. If you're a Mac user, it'll go to your little downloads, and when you pull it out, that folder will just be sitting there looking at you. If you're a PC person, it'll download it as a zip, and you'll have to extract it. I'm pretty sure in my instructions I told you how to extract. Right? And then there's your, you know, your video technology manual. There's the Minitab videos and so on and so forth. I don't want to download those tonight and show you here. Right? I want you to try. Usually it's not a problem. Like I said, I always put them on my desktop, and the way you know I'm not lying to you, there they are. So there's Minitab files for every chapter, right? And you'll notice if you're looking at my screen here, what's the one on the top? I'm working on a PC, and what did it actually download? It downloaded as a zip, and then I had to extract it to get the Minitab files out of it. Right? Here's my other warning. You guys are so used to when you use the computer, right, that you'll come in here and, I mean, there's the Minitab files. Notice EG means that's example 1.2. EX means exercise 1.3, right? So everybody see that's chapter 1. Those are the files. It says EG, those are the examples. EXs, those are the exercises, right? You guys are so used to when you're using Microsoft Word or one of those things is you just click on that file and it opens up Word and it sticks it in, right? That ain't going to work. Because the way me and you are accessing Minitab from home, does anybody know anything about clouds and all that shit? In other words, Minitab is sitting out on this server on the cloud, right? You have to have Minitab up and running and then open the file. Here's what it looks like. Okay. So, you know, I've given you everything I can think of there. If I come here and I go there, then you'll notice this screen should look very familiar to you. That's the one I gave you the link and then you went to the help. If I type in and go in here, and please God work. Well, no, I didn't test here. I tested the house with my Mac and it all worked well. So you notice I logged in with that's my username off my email, and then whatever your password is for email, DQL, and all that stuff. And then I'm looking at math software here. And the one we want is Minitab 18, right? That's the only option here. And you see how I just did that? You know, I logged in and did that. If you're at home and you're using a PC, this is exactly the way it's going to work, right? Because as far as it knows, I'm at home. So if I click this, then it comes up and says, the website's trying to run that, you want to connect it? Oh yeah, dude, that's the reason I clicked it. And I should get this screen here. Oh, thank you. Just going to get into it. I double click. Oh, now you got to remember, it's not sitting on your computer, so it's not super fast. Depending on your web connection, your internet connection with the house. So that's what Minitab looks like. Anybody see the bottom there? Doesn't it look like a spreadsheet in Excel? Yeah, that's where all the data, the information, the files are going to get updated. Right? So if I come here and I go to File, Open. Look, I'm just doing this tonight. This is not the last time me and you're going to go through this little step process here. Open. And then I need to find my desktop on this computer. Now, it's not as easy as you think. See, because I have all kinds of choices. I got a desktop here. I got all kinds of shit here. You know, you guys have a Z drive. I got a Q. There's stuff all over the place. There's my Q. So I'm hoping if I come here, you notice that says C. So that's your C drive. That's your hard drive. It says on, and if you're at home, it'll be whatever your computer name you've called that. The one here is KUC 232 ITV. So if I double click this, then I come down here, and I find users. I've written these steps for you, and they're in V2L. Okay? Users, I got to find myself. That's my username. And then if I've done everything correct and I'm in the right spot, and it's like I said, this is where me and you are going to have to email back and forth when you start this, is finding the files you put on your desktop. And actually the problem is actually finding your desktop, because the way things are set up here, if I go to desktop here, you'll notice there's that little Minitab folder I showed you. It's sitting there. There's the Minitab. There's my chapter 1. You put 1. And then it's actually dumb enough to ask me, dude, you just clicked on this. Do you really want to do this? Yeah, I did 17 steps to get there. Of course I really want to do this. And then it just put it gave me the columns. It put it in that spreadsheet. That's it. And then we can go from here. Minitab is very, very nice. And I'm going to use it quite a bit here at the beginning of the semester, because there's just things I don't want to do. I don't want you to have to do by hand. Right? Notice it's all drop-down menu. And I will show you everything I want you to be able to do. All right? And so what I just showed you there is exactly the way things work on a PC. On my friend's Mac back there, it's going to work very, very similar, except you're going to go through that remote desktop. But here's my point. When me and you email back and forth and you're trying to find shit, and you're going to tell me, look, I clicked on the Minitab file and it told me I was an idiot. Well, it doesn't say that. It says unable to open, or what the hell you want to open it. I'm going to write back to you and say, do you have Minitab up and running? You see that picture right there? That is Minitab up and running. Right? Minitab is running there, and you notice, once I got it up and running, I opened the file through Minitab. I didn't click on the file and try to go. I'm trying to break habits that you guys do all. Hell, even I do that, right? A Word document. Just click it, it'll open. No. Right? So that's Minitab up and running, and then I'll give you the sequence of steps. You know, you're going to go to File, Open, find this, the window pops up, look on the left-hand side, find your C drive, and so on and so forth. I want to make sure you understand what up and running means. Just clicking on the file, the computer last second. All right? Unless you're sitting at an ETS computer where the Minitab is sitting. Does that make any sense? A little bit? Yeah, so I kind of wanted to get you started with that thought about the Minitab file and stuff like that. And, that's where you're going to download them from. Put them on your desktop, so that'll save me and you some problems about where they're at when I start going back and forth with some of you about how do I open them. And then it probably won't be Thursday, it'll probably be next Tuesday. I'll come back and we'll have this talk about Minitab again, because I'll be ready to use it for you on Tuesday, and I'll say, okay, if you're a Mac user, you had to do the remote desktop thing. If you're a PC user, this is how I would log in. Right? And the weird thing is after your first little go, what's your name? Emily? Oh, no, I know you. After your first go with the Mac and getting everything set up, it actually works just, when I say as slick as a PC. Right? The only reason I'm doing this is so that you don't have to sit somewhere else. You can sit at home and do this on your laptop. That just makes you light easy. Okay? So there's that. Now, you won't hear me say another thing about sapling learning. All right? You won't hear me say anything about, you got to be doing those learning curves. We're due on Sunday, April 28th. I've told you, I've shown you how they work. I expect you to do it. Right? A little practice with the material. If you want to know, there's your textbook. It's the same textbook that I have here. It's just in electronic form. Right? And obviously, I've been in this textbook since last semester. So I've got like, you want to talk about chapter 1, we're getting ready to start. There it is. Okay. So, I don't know how you feel about the ebook, just buying the access. That's up to you. I'll never know what you have. It's just, you need to have the current edition because I'm picking homework problems out of it. Right? So either way you want to do it, there's your textbook. And the little page numbers counting down here. Right? Because notice, now that I can show everybody this, so this is exactly what I'm getting ready to write up when I start lecturing here. And you'll notice when I get down here, you see this apply your knowledge, and it's 1.1. That means that's problem 1 in chapter 1. Remember, we actually assigned 1.1 to you. That's not at the end of the chapter, right? And so the thing is when I get down here and I'm done, so I'm done in that little section 1.1, and I'm hoping this takes me to 1.2, and you'll notice I go down, and then there's going to be some homework problems here under apply your knowledge. There's 1.3, 1.4, and so on. And then if you'll come all the way over here and you look at the chapter 1 summary, in other words, in your textbook, you're at the end of the chapter. Here's what you're supposed to learn, right? The summary. What the hell did we talk about this whole chapter? Okay? And then we've got some check your skills. These are little multiple choice questions. Sometimes I assign quite a few of these multiple choice questions for homework. And that's how you're being tested. And so there's the multiple choice questions. And then the exercises that are actually at the end of the chapter, they start at number 23. All the rest of them were somewhere in the middle of the chapter. All right? I don't know which way you want to go with the textbook. I leave it up to you. Anybody got any questions before I start with chapter 1? It took me 50 minutes to figure out how the class is going to work. Because there's a lot of different things going on, right? I've got this, I got this software, I've got this Sapling Learning, and so on and so forth. The thing is, at any point that you have any questions, you have to ask it. If you don't want to ask here, send me an email. We'll work it out, whatever it is. Okay? And so, what I was thinking is, I've told you about the class. I would like to give you like a little feel about how I explain things. In case you don't like it, and then you can find somebody else. Okay? You might not like my style. I don't know. I'm like tuning in a radio. Now, that's just me being honest. I'm like a radio. So, in chapter 1, out of our text, I open the book. I bring the book to class every day. If things get crazy, I guess I could go back over here and open the ebook for you and show you if I wanted to show you something there. But, I always bring the book to have something to talk about here. And then, the weird thing is we are in a math class. And the title of chapter 1 is Picturing Distributions with graphs. So I'm in a math class, and the first thing I'm going to start doing is making pictures. We're not doing any big-ass calculations, calculating that, calculating this. We're going to start we start with making a graph, all right? The other thing is, if we're going to start making graphs, eventually I got to give you some kind of definition about, okay, he's talking about picturing somebody's distribution with a graph. What the hell is a distribution, all right? So here's the warning. Chapter 2 is describing distributions of numbers. So chapter 2, we actually do a little bit of calculation. This is like the oddest math class you'll ever take. 70% of this class is very verbal. What do you see? What does that tell me? Maybe 30%, maybe less than 30% is actually some kind of calculation. And there's very few calculations that are like this. They're like kind of straightforward. The other thing is this about this class. You know how like if you was in an algebra class and you was trying to solve 2x plus 2 is equal to 4, and you got the answer to be 1? The answer is 1, and everybody's happy with 1, right? Here, your answer might be 1, but it'll be 1 with an explanation. The one's trying to tell us something other than, there's a solution to that equation. So the class is very, very verbal. So, I always read the first sentence every semester in the text. And the first sentence is, statistics is the science of data. So what we work with here is data. It's information, right? And when we say science, we try to study it, we explore it, we analyze it, we try to draw conclusions from it. That's what we're going to do here, okay? So the first thing we need, and it's the first thing that happens in every chapter, is we start giving you definitions, right? Because we got to speak the same language. And so where I want to start is something called individuals. That's 1. And 2, something called variables. Now, the way your textbook is laid out, I am looking here on page 13, and right at the bottom of the page, there's a little box there. Anything that's in your textbook that's in a box is in the box for a reason. It's because it's important. It's either a definition or some kind of calculation or something that you need to be aware of. So, the first 2 definitions are in this box, and I'm not going to write them up for you because they're right here, but I would like to talk about them. The first one is individuals. And the individuals are the objects described by a set of data. Look, the individuals are who or what we have the information, the data collected on. The individuals might be people, they might be cars, they might be buildings, they might be dogs, they might be cats, they might be cities, they might be countries. I don't know. My individuals are always the objects that I have the data collected on or the information collected on, right? It says individuals may be people, but they can also be animals or things. That's no big deal. A lot of times we'd like to be able to identify the individuals. Who are we talking about? Who do we have this data collected on? Okay? The bigger one is this. This is what makes this whole class what it is. It says a variable is any characteristic of an individual. A characteristic is anything you would measure on an individual. For example, if I take you folks as my individuals, right? All the ones in my 3 sections of 1530. And I started measuring your hair color, your height, your weight, your GPA, your major, your income. What did I measure characteristics of you folks? Yeah. All those are variables, right? Measure your hair color, your eye color, your weight, your height, GPA, income, yearly income, right? Driver's license, yes or no? Those are all characteristics of you folks. Those are all variables. That's not a big deal either. It's the next line in that box that makes the class. A variable can take different values for different individuals. Now, I actually have to write that part down because if it wasn't for that, me and you would be done. We just call it a semester. Can take different values for different individuals. And why do I say if it wasn't for this, we'd be done? Look, if I had all you folks and I measured your hair color and everybody had brown hair, is there anything else to say? Hell no, everybody's got brown hair. What about if everybody was 5 foot 5 inches tall? Would there be anything else to say? No. What makes this class here is that when I have a collection of individuals and I measure a variable, a characteristic of them, it takes different values, right? Some people's got blonde hair, some people's got brown hair, some people's got red hair, some people's got black hair, right? That's what makes it interesting. As I move from one individual to another, the value of the variable can actually change, right? There's this variability. There's this variation from one individual to the next. That's what makes the class. If it wasn't for that, we would stop right here. I'd tell you, okay, we're going to take a test, give you the A, and we'd all go home. If it wasn't for the fact that when you have a collection of individuals and you measure a variable or characteristic, that variable can take different values for different individuals, we'd be done. Okay? Now, here's my thought. Anytime in this class, as much as I can and as often as I can, when I think about any set of data. Now you see that term there? Set of data, data set. A data set always consists of two things to me. Right? It's the way I think about it. It consists of individuals. Alright. Whom, what are the objects that we have the information collected on? And then alright, what variables did you measure? What was the characteristics you measured on that set of individuals? When somebody says set of data or data set, I'm always expecting these two things. Individuals and variables. Okay? Now, I always got this little thought here about some, I think about it as background info is the way I think about it. When I see this data set. The first one is, people are going to ask you the following question. It'll be very, very simple, and we'll just say, who? And what they mean is, well, that's part of the data set, right? We're asking you about who are the individuals. All right, did you measure this on college students? Did you measure this on countries? Did you measure this on states? On the counties in Tennessee? Who are your individuals there? One other thing I haven't mentioned yet, see, that's just part of my data set. A lot of times, not just up front, before the semester's over, I'm going to want to know am I looking at 250 individuals? Am I looking at 50? Am I looking at 1,000? Am I looking at 50,000? How many individuals are in my data set? 2. I would like to know what. In other words, I want to know what the hell did you measure? I want to know variables. I don't care how many variables you measure. I don't care if you've got 250 individuals and you measured 7 variables. What I care about is what are the variables you measure. In other words, what are the characteristics you measure. One other thing that I haven't, let's see, that's still part of the data set. The other part here I want to know is units of measurement. In other words, we're looking at these variables. Was there any units to them? And actually, maybe my question is, do the units make a difference? Let's say I'm measuring your height. Surely 52 centimeters is different than 52 inches or 52 feet or 52 miles, right? So the units actually make a difference. So you'll see me do that to you is I'll keep track of them, whatever the units are that come with it. Does every variable have units on them? No. Some of them? Yeah. So these first two these are like background information, and actually what I'm asking about is the data set you're looking at, right? Who are the individuals? How many are you looking at? What are the variables? Are there any units of measurement? And then there's this number 3 that I can't really answer really good tonight, is a why. What purpose? Why in the hell are we looking at this set of individuals, and why are we looking at that variable? What's the purpose? Do we have a bigger purpose than others, And I'm going to give you may not know it now, but when we're looking at a data set, we've got this collection of individuals, and we got these variables. There was a purpose. There was a why. my why, my purpose at the moment through the first 6 chapters is I need something to talk about. I don't have this great overall thought. Now, before I'm done at the end of the semester, like the last 6 or 7 chapters, there is a purpose. There is a reason why we're looking at that data set. We're trying to say something about some larger group. I want to kind of stay away from that at the moment. My purpose at the moment is I need something to talk about. I need something to make pictures of, calculate numbers from. That's my purpose. When we get to where I can say a better why, I will tell you. Okay? And then I'm going to give you one more here. The book probably has 5 of these. I'm going to give you this one. Kind of straightforward. I want to know when. When did you collect that data? See, I don't want, if I'm sitting here in 2019, I don't really want to have data from 1990. No, I want current data, right? Why? Because this one's going to be connected to that. I want something that's as current as I can get it. Okay? Now, with all that said, that's like my beginning setup here. Individuals, variables, some of this background information, these kind of questions I would like to know about. The biggest thing here tonight is going to be, we always have 2 types of variables. And only 2 types. Now, I'm going to give you that this little definitions here are on page 14. And the first one is called categorical. Now, I don't know too much about things, but when I see the word categorical, I think about category. In other words, a categorical variable is going to put you in a category or a group. So, for example, if I'm using you folks and I look at your eye color, is that categorical? Right? Brown, blue, right? Your hair color? Yep. Your major? Yep. Driver's license, yes or no? Gender, sex, female or male? Those are all categorical, right? They're putting you in a category, yes? And then the second type is quantitative. Now, quantitative makes me think of quantity, right? So in other words, quantitative should be some kind of number. Yep. Okay, so we need to add a little bit to that. Just because it's a number does not mean it's quantitative, right? Quantitative is definitely a number. It's a quantity, but it needs to be one that it makes sense to. Like, does everybody know how to calculate an average? Mean? In other words, if I've got 10 numbers and I want to find the mean of those, don't I add them all up and divide by 10? Right? That would give me the mean, the average. Yep. Add them all together, divide by 10 will give me the average. So I want to think about a quantitative variable, since everybody already knows about calculating this mean or this average. Does it make sense to add them all together and divide by the total number? What about if I ask about heights? Makes sense to talk about the average heights on all the rooms, average weights, average GPAs, average age. Yeah. Does it make sense to talk about the average Social Security number? Well, it's numbers. But does the average mean shit to me? And the average, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. What about cars? If I look at the number, one of the variables I measure is, okay, in your car, how many cylinders do you have? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Does it make sense to calculate the average number of cylinders across? Oh, hell no, I don't know what that means. Okay, so the average number of cylinders is 5.2. But it does make sense to talk about your average height, your average age, your average weight. Right? Okay. Now, with all that said, there's a warning. So I want to take your age, and I want to measure it in years, right? So somebody's 18, somebody's 19, somebody's 23, somebody's 27. Does it make sense to talk about the average age? So in other words, just thinking about your age in terms of the number of years, that seems like it is quantitative. Right? But sometimes we'll take variables that are naturally quantitative. And does age have an order, like from smallest to largest? And the answer is yeah. Have you ever seen the questionnaires where we take your age and we ask you the following? Where do you fall? Are you between 15 and 19? Are you between 20 and 24, 25 and 29, 30 and 34, 35 and 1? How would you treat age? Yeah, I just thought of it. Yeah. So if we're just asking about your age in years, that's naturally quantitative, right? I can talk about the average age cluster. But now if I start making these little, forming these little groups, these little categories, these little, I'm going to stick with groups of categories. And then that one on the bottom, I'd be treating it as category. I mean, I could do the same thing with, like your yearly income. Ask you for your yearly income. Well, hell, that's quantitative, right? I can find the average yearly income. But what about if I say you earn between 0 and 10,000, and 10,000 and 50,000? No, I'm turning them into categorical, right? So you've got to pay attention. There's context to come with all the problems, okay? Now, one other thing. With all this being said, I want to look here on page 14. There's an example 1.1, and I want to look at this little Excel-looking spreadsheet that's over here, and it's because of the way the data is written, and I want to make sure you understand it. Sometimes we do some screwed up shit on you. Not this kind, but we do some other things too. All right? And so it says this. At the U.S. Census Bureau website, you can view the detailed data collected by the American Community Survey. Though, of course, the identities of the people in housing units are protected. If you choose to file data on people, the individuals are the people living in housing units contacted by the survey. That's the who. More than 100 variables are recorded for each variable. That's the what. And it says figure 1.1, which is on the top of page 15, displays a very small part of the data. Each row records data on one individual. Each column contains the values of the variable. Now look, Minitab works the same way, right? Excel file is a spreadsheet, yes? And so the rows are like a single individual, and the columns are the variables that we measure. So if you pick out a row, you've got a single individual, and then you've got the different values for that individual, right? The columns are the variables. That's standard layout. That's exactly the way Minitab lays its files out, okay? It says, translated from the U.S. Census Bureau abbreviations, the variables are, there's like a serial number, weight in pounds, age in years, travel time to work in minutes, highest level of education, sex, wage and salary income last year. The reason I'm bringing this up is the following. You see the very first column there, they give you this serial number, and the serial numbers range from 283, 283, 323, 344, 346. That's not a variable. That's a label. We couldn't give people's name, right? So you gave them a number, and I'm assuming if they have the same number, they lived in the same housing unit. The first column is always some kind of label for your individual. That's not a variable. That's the label. That's how you identify them. And then all the rest of these here are variables. So here's my question. I've got one of them that's weight. What kind of variable is weight? We've had that talk already. Weight is quantitative, and it's measured in pounds, unit of measurement. The next column is age in years, quantitative. What's the unit? Years. The next column is travel time to work, quantitative, minutes. You could have done that without me. The next one is a little bothersome to me. It says, the highest level of education. The numbers designate categories, not specific grades. For example, a 9 means a high school graduate, a 10 means some college with no degree, and 13 means a bachelor's degree. Now, what that's called is, that's where we code the data. In other words, we've got a variable, and it's categorical. Instead of writing out what category you fell in, and this has mainly got to do with how statistical software operates, we assign it a number. That does not make it quantitative. We coded the data for ease of use. See, here's the problem. If you're filling in the data, and let's say you look at a high school graduate, and somebody types in high school graduate all in lowercase, somebody types in high school graduate with a capital H, somebody types in just high school, frickin' software is going to see that as 3 different. If it's not exact, it sees all those as different ones, so you code it, right? If you're a high school graduate, we'll give you 9. We'll have all these 9s. I don't want you to think when they code the data like that, that turns it into quantitative. No, that's just for ease of use and to make sure the software reads it the way we want it to. The next column is a person's sex or their gender, designated by a 1 for a male, a 2 for a female. Same reasoning. Because if you're typing it in and you type male all lower cases, or if you type male with a capital M and then lowercase, it reads those as different. Ease of use. And then the last one is wage and salary income last year in dollars. Your income, your wages and salary last year, that's got to be quantitative. What's my units of measurement? And it's in dollars. All right? And that's a typical looking spreadsheet. That's a typical looking data file for Minitab. Okay? Now, I want to come back here just a second. This little thought here, why am I spending so much time on making sure you can identify what kind of variable you're looking at, the type? Because depending on the type of variable will tell us what we're going to do. It'll tell me what kind of graph I'm going to make. It'll tell me what kind of calculations I'm going to do in Chapter 2. So you have to be able to identify whether it's quantitative or categorical. Now, here's my thought. Okay? I want to give you this definition of distribution that showed up in the title. So, again, definition. And, even in the title, hell, it just said distribution. But it's always the distribution of a variable. The catch is sometimes people forget that last little bit of stuff. Right? When people speak of, most people are just going to say the term distribution, right? And what they mean is, it's the distribution of a variable, right? Some characteristic. They have a hard time writing that out and saying that all the time. Now, when I think about a distribution, okay, the distribution always tells me 2 things. All right? It tells me what values the variable can take. And the second thing is how often the variable takes these values. The reason I'm going to end on this tonight is because, okay, so we're supposed to be in this chapter, we're supposed to be picturing a variable distribution with a graph. So I'm going to ask you stupid questions on Thursday when I start making graphs. Well, it's supposed to show you the distribution, right? Does it show you the 2 things? Does it show you what values the variable can take? And does it, in some way in the graph, does it show you how often it takes these values? That's what we mean. Now, what we're going to start with on Thursday is we're going to start with a categorical variable, and you don't need me for this. You actually know both graphs. You know a bar graph, bar chart, and you know a pie graph. We're going to start there. I'll show you how to do it. Do a little bit by hand. I may pull Minitab up and get it to do it for you. And then we'll go to quantitative variables. Categorical variables here are like short and straight to the point. Nothing there. All right? Be careful going to the house. We will see you on Thursday. Make sure you sign. Make sure you folks sign. Cheer up, Johnson City. It's all right. It's only the first night. Be careful going to the house. Rob, make sure they sign.